5 new clues that could prove. Noah's Ark exists. Intro: for centuries, the search for Noah's Ark has been a story of faith, mystery, and honestly, a whole lot of ambition. But what if the search is finally over? For decades, a peculiar boat-shaped mound in the mountains of Turkey has been the center of a fiery debate. Skeptics have written it off as a geological oddity, just a freak of nature. But now, a team of scientists, armed with some seriously cutting-edge tech, has returned to this mysterious site. They've just uncovered 5 new clues, evidence of a massive buried structure they believe is man-made and matches the biblical description of the Ark. In this video, we're breaking down these 5 discoveries that could change everything, but we'll also ask the big questions: is this the real deal, or just another chapter in a long history of wishful thinking? Hook. The story kicks off back in 1959, when a Turkish army captain named İlhan Durupanar noticed a strange formation on an aerial photograph of eastern Turkey. It was huge, perfectly boat-shaped, and located just 18 miles south of Mount Ararat, the very region where the Bible says Noah's Ark came to rest. Initial excitement eventually fizzled out, and for decades, the Durupanar site was largely dismissed by mainstream scientists as a natural rock formation. But a dedicated group of researchers with the Noah's Ark Scans project never gave up. Armed with new technology, they believe they've found compelling evidence that this is no trick of geology. Section 1, Clue Number 1, The Perfect Match. The first clue is the most obvious, but it's still one of the most compelling: the sheer size of the formation. The Durupanar site measures about 538 feet in length. Why does that number matter? Because depending on the conversion, it aligns with stunning precision to the description of Noah's Ark in the book of Genesis. The Bible describes the Ark as 300 cubits long, which, if you use the Royal Egyptian cubit, translates to about 515 feet. For believers, this is no coincidence. Researcher Andrew Jones, who leads the project, argues the shape and length are a perfect match. However, it's this exact claim that makes most geologists skeptical. The overwhelming scientific consensus is that the feature is a syncline, a type of downward folding rock that through erosion can create shapes that look artificial. A 1996 scientific paper concluded it was a common geologic structure, and nothing more. So, is it a miraculous match or a remarkable coincidence? That's where the clues beneath the surface get a lot more interesting. Section 2. Clue number 2. The view beneath the surface. This is where modern tech enters the story and changes the game. The research team used ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, to see deep beneath the soil without ever digging. GPR sends electromagnetic waves into the ground and creates a 3D map of what's hidden below. And the images they captured are pretty stunning. Reanalyzed with advanced software, the scans appear to show clear, artificial-looking structures buried within the formation. Researchers claim they've identified parallel lines and angular shapes, things you wouldn't expect to find in a random block of rock. They've interpreted these signals as a massive internal structure with features that look like rooms, a central corridor, and even 3 distinct layers that could match the 3 decks mentioned in the Bible. Jones has said, "This is not what you would expect to see if this site is just a solid block of rock." But this is where the broader scientific community urges extreme caution. Geologists and archaeologists argue that GPR interpretations can be subjective. What one person sees as a man-made corridor, another might see as natural rock joints. They stress that these findings haven't been published in peer-reviewed scientific journals, which means they haven't been independently verified by outside experts. The skeptic's position is firm. Until someone drills down and pulls up an actual man-made beam, these are just intriguing images. Sue. Section 3, Clue Nar 3, the chemical fingerprints. If a giant wooden ship rotted underground for thousands of years, it would leave behind more than just a shape. It would change the soil chemistry. And that brings us to clue number 3. The Noah's Ark scans team, working with Turkish geologists, collected soil samples from inside and outside the boat-shaped formation to compare them. The results were significant. According to their findings, the soil inside the formation contains much higher levels of organic matter and potassium than the surrounding area. These are chemical signatures consistent with the decay of a huge amount of wood and other organic materials. The researchers believe this is the chemical ghost of a buried wooden structure imprinted in the earth. But just like the GPR scans, these findings are open to interpretation. Mainstream scientists point out that elevated organic material could have other explanations, like ancient vegetation or different drainage patterns. Without ruling out all possible natural causes, and without the results being validated in peer-reviewed journals, most experts remain unconvinced this proves the existence of an ancient ship. This investigation is at a fascinating crossroads, sparking a fierce debate between the researchers on the ground and the wider scientific community. It's a clash of new data against long-held skepticism. If you find this search for answers as compelling as we do, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. We're committed to following this story wherever it leads, and will bring you updates as they happen. Section 4. Clue number 4. The anomaly in the grass. Sometimes, the biggest clues are hiding in plain sight. For years, people have noticed something odd about the vegetation growing on the Darupanar site. This is the 4th clue. The grass growing inside the boat-shaped formation is a different color, and seems to have a different vitality than the grass just a few feet away. Especially in the autumn, the grass inside turns a lighter yellow color, suggesting it's growing on something different than the surrounding hillside. Project researchers believe this is another piece of surface-level evidence pointing to a large, man-made object buried below. They suggest the unique soil composition, affected by a decayed structure, influences the plants on the surface. As you've probably guessed, there are other explanations. Botanists and geologists would argue that patterns in vegetation are common and can be caused by all sorts of things, like differences in soil depth, moisture, and minerals. A buried geological feature, like the syncline skeptics believe it to be, could easily create these exact conditions without needing a buried ark. It's another tantalizing but inconclusive piece of the puzzle. Section 5. Clue number 5. Marine fossils and human activity. The 5th and final clue goes beyond the formation's shape and into the very soil, hinting at a watery past. Researchers analyzing soil samples have reported finding traces of marine materials and sea creatures. At an international symposium, the team stated that dating of the samples places them between 3,500 and 5,000 years old. This time frame aligns with the period when many biblical scholars believe the Great Flood would have happened. The lead Turkish researcher, Professor Faruk Kaya, noted that these findings suggest the area was once underwater. However, he wisely cautioned, with the dating, it is not possible to say that the ship is here. And this is a critical point. While finding marine fossils seems shocking, many geologists note that marine sediments are common in the region. Even more importantly, there is no geologic record of a single global flood as described in religious texts, which is a major reason for the widespread scientific skepticism around any Noah's Ark claim. So, where does that leave us? We have 5 compelling clues from the Noah's Ark scans team: a formation with biblical dimensions, radar scans suggesting rooms and corridors, soil that points to decayed wood, strange patterns in the grass, and marine deposits dated to the time of the flood. Taken together, the researchers on site believe it's powerful evidence. However, for every clue, the broader scientific community has a plausible natural explanation and raises a crucial point: the lack of peer-reviewed data, and, most importantly, the absence of any verified physical artifacts. Despite decades of interest, no one has ever pulled a piece of petrified wood from the site that has been independently verified. The investigation is far from over. The research team plans to conduct more tests and eventually do core drilling to pull up physical samples. Will they finally uncover the definitive proof they've been searching for? Or will the results confirm the Darupanar formation is simply a magnificent trick of nature? The final answer remains buried, for now, in the mountains of Turkey. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what happens next. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.